well, this is part 2 of my experience with adopting a new rescue. So, Ginger's laying down. So, my second video, what do I want to talk? So, I was talking about my personal, emotional, psychological adjustment issues. My adjustment issues. I don't know about Ginger's, but mine. So, my previous doggy Muffin, who I had for 10 years, I raised from a 9-week-old puppy. And let me tell you, that was tough. The first year was so stressful. Raising a puppy was so stressful. I'd never done it before. And when I first got Muffin as a puppy, I thought I made a big mistake. I had that same feeling like, oh, this is a big mistake. I should give her back. I even called my friend and said, I think this is a mistake. She said, no, hang in there. What you put in, you'll get out. And just hang in there. And my brother recommended me watching The Doggy Whisperer with Caesar, whatever his name is. And Caesar, I forget his last name, but anyway. And so I watched lots and lots of YouTube videos on YouTube with past episodes of The Dog Whisperer, and that really helped because Muffin was a little fluffy puppy. He was so cute. I just wanted to carry him and make him a Paris Hilton purse puppy, you know. But Caesar said, no, doggies have to be socialized. They have to use their nose. They have to use their doggy self. You have to walk them. You have to train them. You have to exercise them. And they have to be doggies and be well-rounded. So I used his method and it worked really well. And when I had particular issues, I would look them up and watch videos on the particular issues, and it helped so much. So I learned from Caesar that, you know, it's training the human first and then the doggy. So I had to learn a lot of things. Like if there was an issue with Muffin, it was my issue that I hadn't trained him on, or year 2, 3, even 4 years down the line, or even for the rest of his life. If there was an issue, it was that I had gone lax on my training of him. So knowing that, I went back and I would train him and get him back on board with his, you know, certain behaviors that would come up, like barking too much or something. So I learned a lot from that whole experience. And so when I got Ginger, like I said, she pottied in the house. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I remembered a couple days into it, like at first I wanted to give her back. I was like, this isn't going to work. But then I was like, okay, when I got Muffin, he was a puppy and I had to take him out every 2 hours so he wouldn't potty in the house. And so I didn't know how old Ginger was for sure. So I just used that approach. I'm like, okay, I'll just take her out every couple hours, even at night. So I started taking her out every couple hours, and both of us, I got used to getting up, getting her out, you know, getting out, walking her a lot till she went potty, and teaching her to go potty outside and using the word potty, go potty, and giving her a lot of positive reinforcement when she did, and it happened less and less. She still has some potty accidents in the house, and I'm still working with her on that. But like 3 days. So the first 3 days were my really difficult attachment difficulty days. I was really sad about Muffin, and I was comparing her to Muffin. Oh, well, Muffin would do this and Muffin do that. She doesn't do that. She's doing this and she's doing that, and it's not Muffin. And I didn't want to attach to her emotionally, but like I said, she just sat on my lap and put her head on my chest and just made me love her. So by the third day, I had to attach to her too. And but it still was hard, but it was much more. I attached much more. So then the first 3 weeks. So now I'm like freaking out about the house training issue. And then, let's see, I got her on a Saturday, and on Monday was work. And I used to take Muffin to work, so was like, well, I'll take her to work. I was really nervous about it because I didn't know how she would do. And turns out she did really well. She just laid in my lap and slept on me the whole time. Now, Muffin would just sit on his own chair and chill out. He had this whole routine that he developed since he was a puppy. And, but she was really good. She didn't bark, and I put potty pads down, I think, and took her out a lot so she wouldn't potty. And when I first got her, she was really nervous and skittish around other grown-ups, especially men. She still is not so happy about meeting new men, but so she was really scared. My clients were used to Muffin, and they wanted her to sit on their lap like Muffin, and but she was too scared. And but I gave she loves food and she loves treats, so I gave each client, I got an idea to give them treats to give to her, so she would get used to going up to a new person, a client, and then they gave her treats, and then she was really happy, so she got used to the idea of going up to a new person, and I gave her verbal cues about work and friend and say hi. And so but each day and each week she has become more and more comfortable with people. It's really great to see. So it was really different with her at work, but every week she gets more comfortable, and it's really great to see. So at first she was really scared around adults, but she was super comfortable with kids and big dogs. She loves big dogs, it turned out, and so that's great. So I introduced her to the friends in the neighborhood, my people friends with their doggy friends, and she was really scared of people at first, but like I said, I got her used to engaging with new people, and she's become much more comfortable. And so first 3 days I was emotionally a wreck. I was like stressed out and a wreck, and but like I said, she made me attached to her, and then I had to learn about her. And so with Muffin, like I said, I took him out every 2 hours to get him house trained. So I just decided she's still a puppy, and I'll train her around that issue. So we just started going out a lot. We still go out a lot. She still has some accidents, but I just have to be more vigilant about watching her and what her cues are. I had to do that with Muffin. So what are their cues visually? What does she do? Does she sit by the door? She wakes me up at night now when she has to go potty, which is great. And I can see her, she sits by the door a little bit. She doesn't give me much clue, but if I watch for it, I can see more. So I still take her out regularly, like every couple hours, and I look for her cues more. And I remember her situations where she does, like before I leave, if I have to go somewhere, and after I come back, I take her out. Before I leave, I take her out. After I come back, I take her out. Before I do something, before we do something, after we do something. Like, so I'm learning when she typically has to go potty. So, and then I had to learn her personality, which was different. And like Muffin was, by 10 years old, he was chill. You know, he was really independent, even though he was really cuddly and social. And she's really clutchy and lovey and cuddly, and at first I was like pushing her away. I wanted her to not be like that, but I watched videos about rescues, you know, the dodo videos and stuff, and I saw this video about this person who rescued a dog, and I saw how they interacted with their rescue. Like, they held her, and she, you know, it was a lot of personal contact, and I'm like, oh, that's Ginger likes that. And so I started accepting that she loves to be held and cuddled. And I love it too, actually. It's really nice. So I started getting used to that she has this personality that's different, and her body moves different, and her personality. And I'm adjusting to who she is and seeing more who she is. So it's been a big process for me, a really big learning process. And you know, at first I was psychologically and emotionally rejecting her in my head, and but then we had an emergency. a few days after I got her, I set up her at a vet appointment to establish her as a new patient, and I'm really glad I did, because I wanted to get a baseline. Like, I didn't know how much to feed her exactly. She was smaller, half the size of Muffin, so I just figured the same pattern of feeding, just a little less. So I took her in and got her weighed, and took her papers that they sent to me. But it was kind of hard to interpret the vet shot record. And looking back, I would advise get in touch with the vet. The paperwork is, and clarify exactly what it says. Like, I couldn't understand it. My vet couldn't understand it. So we tried to interpret the records, and then they wanted to do booster shots. So we did the first boosters, and then we set up for a month later the second boosters. And so we got her weight, and we got flea medication. They wanted her on heartworm preventative medication because she's from Texas, where they have a lot of heartworms. And we talked about food and all that. And then a month later, I go back, and it was devastating. It turns out she had lost 1.5 pounds, and she's only a 7-pound dog, or 8 pounds. She was 7.8 on that first visit. The second visit, she was like 6.2. She had lost 1.5 pounds. I'm like, oh my God. I noticed she was thin, but I felt so bad. So we were talking about feeding, and the vet had some really good suggestions about how to slow her down a little and feeding her a little more and blah, blah, blah. And I went to my local pet store that I go to, Mud Bay Pets, which is really great. And they had, every time I went, which was very often at this juncture, they had different suggestions. So one guy suggested puppy food, and I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of that? Like, I don't know how old she is. She's still kind of a puppy. I didn't even think of that. I had just been giving her Muffin, all ages kind of food. So I was feeding her 3 times a day like I fed Muffin, just a little less. So now I feed her 4 times a day. And I took their suggestions, adding in some puppy food and some different feeding stuff. The vet had some suggestions. So what I ended up doing was, now I feed her 4 times a day. I first fed her every couple hours to get her weighed up, and it worked. Like, I took her back to the vet a week later just to weigh her, and she had gained 0.5 pound already. So I haven't taken her back since then, but I'm assuming she's putting back on the weight. She looks a lot more sturdy. So that was another stressful issue, was like how to feed her and what to feed her. And we had when I first got her for her first walk, she really didn't know how to walk on a leash straight. Like, she was kind of freaked out by everybody, freaked out by everything. But by the second day, she was walking really well on a leash. I took her to my favorite walking spots, and she was freaked out by each person and all the things. But I just calmed her through it, and told her she was doing a good job, and talked really sweet, and gave her lots of positive talk and pets. And we went back and back, and she got more and more comfortable, and she got really comfortable with the place and walks and seeing people and meeting new people and meeting dogs. And she's really smart. She picks up things really fast. So she had some transitions of getting used to new people, the weather. The first day she hated the rain. It was raining all the time here in Washington State. It was raining, and she just hated it. And she didn't even want to walk or go potty outside. So I just kept my patience. And I have a backyard, so I'd pick her up and put her into a place in the backyard where it's more dry under the trees. And she liked it there, and so she'd go potty. So even though she wouldn't walk out there, I picked her up and put her there, and that would work. And even on street walks, I'd pick her up, walk to the end of the block, and then walk back for her to go potty. And it was good. I had a hard time at first. I'm like, oh my God, should I yell at her? What should I do? No, I decided to use the calm approach, which I did with Muffin, and that worked really good. And eventually she got used to the rain, and she's really a brave little girl, and she'll do anything, really. So she's transitioned to the weather and meeting new people and meeting new doggies, and I've emotionally and psychologically transitioned. Oh, so we went to the vet a month later for her second booster shot. And we got the shots. We came home. I weighed her, started feeding her better, more, because we walk a ton, like a lot. She loves to walk, and I love to walk. So we were walking, and that was part of it. We were walking like 15,000 steps a day, and she just needed more food. Puppies, too. So I took her home. I went to my CrossFit workout. I came home. I went to meet my friend. We went on a doggy walk. We come home, and she pooped. I'm like, oh, good, she pooped. And then she threw up everything in her stomach. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Maybe she ate too much, because when she loves to eat too much, and then she throws up. So I thought she just maybe ate too much, but we get home and she starts wobbling. I'm like, oh, that's weird. She's wobbling. And then she starts falling over. I'm like, what's going on? So I pick her up. I put her on my bed. She's wobbling, and then she's falling asleep. I'm like, what's going on? This doesn't look good. So I'm like, well, with people, you're supposed to revive them. So I revived her. This was like 3 hours after that shot. So she keeps falling asleep. I'm reviving her. I'm like, oh, no, I better take her to the vet. So I pick her up. Good thing she's little. And took her in my car. And I called the vet while I was on my way. I'm freaking out, and she's passing out. And I'm afraid I'm going to lose her. She's passing out. I keep reviving her. I called the vet. They said to come in. They were too far, way too far. So we had an emergency vet, thank goodness, here in town. Olympia Veterinary Services. And they're an emergency 24-hour hospital, which I had gone to before. And I went there instead. It was right close by. And I went there. I took her in. I told them what's happening, and they took her right away. And turns out probably she had a reaction to the shot. Could have been something else she ate that day. I'm not sure, but they immediately gave her a shot of steroids and it stabilized her right away. They came out and said she's stable. I'm like, really? Because last I saw her, she was passed out, passing out, and I was waking her up. I cried and cried because I was so scared on the way, but she was okay. And it didn't take very long. They gave her a shot of steroids. They made sure she was stable. And then soon after that, they gave her a shot of Benadryl, and they sent us home. It was really fast, and she was fine. And she's been fine, and I was really afraid. So that really bonded me to her. That really made me emotionally bond to her and attached to her. It's like, oh my gosh. And it really solidified my bond with her. So taking care of her, and I almost lost her, so it was really scary, but thank God I didn't. And it made me learn quite a lot. And one of the things is, I should have called that vet. But now we're giving her, my vet said, give her Benadryl all weekend, just a quarter of a tablet. Make sure there's no xylitol in it when you buy it over the counter. Quarter of a tablet every 8 hours. And we continued that for the weekend, a couple days, to make sure any toxins were out of her system. And she pulled through fine. Excuse me. So it made me realize that she has, real specific little medical needs, and that she's a teeny weeny little thing, and how to take care of her even more, and to be careful with her little self, just her uniqueness of individual needs, and how to, attend to that too. So that really solidified my attachment to her, is what I'm trying to say. And so now we're on 2 months, and I'm still getting patient with potty training and watching for signs. She's really food oriented and treat oriented, so that makes it easy to train her on most things. So she's really smart and trainable, which is great. She didn't know how to sit. She didn't know how to do stuff. But she's learning to take, I'm teaching her. Like I had to teach Muffin. So I just remembered all the things I went through with Muffin as a puppy, and how to train him and take him out and be patient and be calm, and give him a lot of positive, good girl, and and learn her, so she can learn me, and that's what it took with Muffin. So that's what it takes with a new doggy too. So it was just really weird to make a transition from a dog I knew and knew inside and out, and he knew me, and our life was just zooming along, like stable. Like we had a routine. We knew what to do every day. He could hold his potty for 16 hours or more. Like he had the bladder of a steel trunk. I mean, I didn't have to take him out all day, but I tried to take him out every 4 hours and give him walks. And so getting used to a whole new dog that did different things and didn't just hang out by himself so I could do my thing. She's right there, and I was used to like Muffin hanging out and looking out the window for hours, and me sitting on the couch watching videos and snacking on carbohydrate snacks. And now when I snack, she wants some. So it made it not fun to snack, which is good for me. So that helped me with my snacking, bored snacking. So we help each other. So it's going well, and I will let you know more, and I'll probably have another part to this, but at the moment I can't think of more to say on this part 2 of my psychological adjustments, and I'll be adding more to this video later. Okay, bye.